Breaking news on This Is Now. As people were ringing in the new year, a massive explosion involving illegal fireworks rocked an Aliamanu neighborhood, sending people running for their lives.
It's pretty devastating. It looked like a bomb went off there.
At least 3 people are confirmed dead, more than 20 others hospitalized. The scene described as something out of a war zone.
So you're seeing, possibly limbs missing, people are being hit with shrapnel.
I've been in EMS over 30 years, and this is probably one of the worst calls I've ever been on.
As an investigation is underway to determine how this all unfolded, frustration and sorrow from community leaders who've been raising the alarm about the dangers of illegal fireworks.
Sooner or later, something bad is bound to happen when you're dealing with this kind of stuff.
First at noon, a deadly start to 2025 after a New Year's Eve celebration in Aliamanu turns deadly. This is what we know so far. The large explosion happened just after midnight on Kiaka Drive. Officials confirmed the blast was fireworks related. 3 people have been confirmed dead, and sources say that number could rise, while more than 20 people have been hospitalized in critical and serious condition. And we're also told HPD's Specialized Services Division bomb unit recovered homemade illegal fireworks from the scene. And we're learning more about the victims of this tragedy from friends and neighbors. Eddie Dow joins us live from the scene with more on that. Eddie.
Actually, this is a largely Filipino community here, about a 3-minute drive from the Salt Lake Target. Now, for some, they just woke up to the news of what the governor's calling a mass casualty event. Now, the governor just visited the scene here where he is still here surveying the damage, and he likened it to a war zone. Now, he is saying that this has to stop, the illegal fireworks we are having in Hawaii, and he says he wants the state legislature to pass a strict penalty for people who fire these aerials, up to 5 years in jail. Now, it's uncertain whether that will pass at the state capitol yet, but that is something he thinks would help stem the large scale of illegal aerial fireworks we see here in Hawaii. Now, we talked to one neighbor who says he knew 2 of the victims. He described them as women in their 50s. They had children. He would see them take the bus to work every day. And he, like many other neighbors here, are still processing this tragedy.
I just knew him from the neighborhood. I always watch them walking off the bus and stuff, and they always say hi. Nice people. I actually knew their kids more than I knew them. The injuries felt like it was a war zone, yeah. It was really bad. I've never seen anything like this.
And we have some new information provided by the governor just moments ago. He said, what he's hearing from officials is that how this large explosion happened was a fireworker cake. It toppled over and hit a large quantity of fireworks, and some of the video we're getting in shows that, appear to being multiple explosions happening, firework explosions. And so that's we're trying to put together the pieces of what exactly happened. And we'll have more information at a 2 p.m. press conference. But one thing I want to add, though, is the governor said something that stood out to me. He said he likened this to manslaughter, what happened here as manslaughter. And we do see HPD here on scene as that criminal investigation is likely underway. So we'll have updates throughout the day on this tragedy here in Hawaii.
Thank you, Eddie. And of course, the tragedy has left the community shaken. It happened during a time of celebration with family, friends, and children. We spoke with one resident who didn't want to be identified, who rushed to the scene to help.
I'm still in shock from it, just from seeing the victims. My son's friend, he was running around frantic, and obviously something happened to either his friend or a loved one, and I just wanted to be there to see if I could help. People want to have fun, and it is fun to light up fireworks, but they need to think about the people around them.
Now, videos taken from the ground and in the air by drones showed heavy smoke billowing over homes and filling the streets. And after the blast, a triage of ambulances staged as quickly as possible to prioritize those with the worst injuries and get them to multiple Oahu trauma centers. And Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi released a statement this morning saying, quote, "It is with both frustration and sorrow that I address the tragedy that occurred last night." He went on to say, year after year, a minority of individuals recklessly endanger us all. This is absurd and unacceptable. He says his administration remains committed to working with federal and state agencies to shut down the illegal firework trade once and for all. They will also push for stronger enforcement, tougher penalties, new technology, and a united effort to stop the import of illegal fireworks. And Governor Green, who you saw there at the scene, he also released a statement saying in part, quote, "We must work together to prevent tragedies. I urge residents to report illegal activity and to prioritize safety. My administration remains committed to protecting our communities and preventing further loss, while my heart is heavy on this first day of 2025. And stay with What You News Now. Officials are going to have a 2 p.m. press conference today about this tragedy and other fireworks-related injuries last night. We're going to bring that live to you on our HNN digital platforms. And we are learning more about the other fireworks-related injuries across Oahu that are unrelated to this Aliamanu incident. Here's what we know about those. EMS says a 19-year-old man is in critical condition after multiple traumatic injuries, including a severe arm injury from a suspected fireworks blast. It happened on Lukela Lane in Kalihi at around 11 last night. There were several rocket launchers near the home. Hawaii News Now spoke to a family member who said they were at the hospital and trying to process what happened. Neighbors say they saw the victim with injuries to his head and arm. Another neighbor says the blast shook the house.
I was in my room just playing a game, and I heard this firework, and everybody here just started screaming and crying. It did shake the house, and I was so confused why everybody was crying outside.
EMS says paramedics on scene treated the patient with advanced life support when they took him to the hospital. In other cases, a 34-year-old man suffered injuries to his hand from a suspected firework blast at around 11:25 last night. No word yet on where this happened, but he's currently in the hospital in serious condition. At around 12 a.m., a 25-year-old man in Kalihi also suffered a traumatic hand injury. This happened on Linapuni Street. He was taken to the hospital in serious condition. And around the same time in the Eva Beach area, a man and woman suffered burn injuries to their legs due to a firework. We're told the two in Kuhia Place were treated and taken to the hospital in with minor injuries. Of course, we're going to be monitoring any of these injuries, and we're going to bring those updates to you on air and online.
Thank you very much. Here we are in the noon hour of this first day of January. Let's go through your headlines real quickly here. First alert weather, sunny to partly cloudy skies, partly sunny skies. It's going to be nice for you today and tomorrow. That's because we have the trade winds. However, we lose the trade winds coming up in a couple of days. And also northwest swell. We've got overlapping swells that are coming through due Thursday with warning levels coming up on Sunday. I'll have the in-depth report coming up in moments.
Thank you, Billy. Coming up on This Is Now, at least 10 people were killed and dozens injured after a truck ran into a crowd early on New Year's Day in New Orleans. The latest on the investigation ahead on This Is Now. back. Here's a live look at New Orleans, where the streets are empty, but authorities are investigating a deadly attack overnight. 10 people were killed and 35 more were hurt when police say a truck rammed into a crowd filled with people celebrating the new year. Authorities have identified the suspect. Katie Weiss has more.
The FBI is investigating the New Year's Day attack in New Orleans as an act of terrorism.
This is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil.
The FBI has identified the attacker as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen from Texas. A U.S. official confirms to CBS News he had previously served in the U.S. military.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
Authorities say he plowed a truck through a crowd on the city's iconic Bourbon Street shortly after 3 a.m. local time, then got into a firefight with police and was killed.
We were in the middle of the road and managed to run off the road onto the sidewalk and into the doorway of a building for cover.
Jim Maurer was visiting from Iowa. He said after the gunfire stopped, he tried to help the victims.
People we came across were unfortunately deceased.
The FBI says an ISIS flag was located in the truck, as were weapons and other potential explosive devices. Law enforcement also identified possible IEDs located in the French Quarter.
The mission now is to facilitate, support, and coordinate safety procedures to keep our residents and our visitors safe.
Police say 2 police officers who were shot during the gunfight are in stable condition. Katie Weiss, CBS News, New Orleans.
And President-elect Donald Trump has been following the developments in New Orleans and responding on social media. This comes as he's also working to help his choice to be the next Speaker of the House. Nydia Cavazos has details from Capitol Hill.
President-elect Donald Trump weighed in on the New Orleans attack Wednesday, saying his heart is with the victims. He added, the Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. He talked about crime while speaking with reporters outside his New Year's Eve party in Mar-a-Lago.
You see the crime numbers are going through the roof.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson met with Trump on Friday at Mar-a-Lago as he tries to shore up support to be re-elected as Speaker on Friday when the new Congress convenes.
He's a good man. He's a wonderful person, and that's what you need.
Trump has endorsed Johnson to retain the Speaker's gavel when the new Congress convenes on Friday. The president-elect believes Johnson will win the election, but concedes there's work to be done.
He's the one that can win right now. People like him. Almost everybody likes him. Others are very good too, but they have 30 or 40 people that don't like him, so that's pretty tough.
Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie is one of the House Republicans who says he won't vote for Johnson, and others say they are unsure.
I remain undecided, as do a number of my colleagues, because we saw so many of the failures last year that we are concerned about that might limit or inhibit our ability to advance the president's agenda.
Trump says he'll be calling some of the holdouts to urge them to support the speaker. Nydia Cavazos, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And let's take a live look outside with our tower cam looking out towards Aloha Tower on this New Year's Day. Billy V is going to have your full forecast when we come back.
Let's get in depth into your first alert weather. We have a couple of ocean conditions that we want to let you know about. High surf advisory will be posted tonight by the National Weather Service. That's because we have overlapping swells and it's going to get bigger advisory size by tonight. Small craft advisories are in effect until tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Here's a look at your surf heights for you. 8 to 12 over on the North Shore, 5 to 8. It's going to get bigger by tomorrow. There are your numbers there. Everything else south and east facing shorelines are smaller than that. Here's your day today, which we want to show you real quickly. Partly cloudy skies as we go throughout the day. Nice temperatures, all in the lower 80s, and it's going to be really nice for your Wednesday. Now, here's Kilauea volcano during the daytime. I want to show you what it looked like overnight or early this morning at about 5 a.m. This is what it looks like. The sun hadn't come up yet, but once again, it is active. The reason why I'm mentioning this is that as we jump into the future cast, as we go through Wednesday night, that's tonight, and we go in towards tomorrow and Friday, the winds are going to change. So right now they're trade wind weather, and then they're going to start to pull up as this front gets closer. It's all going to pull up towards the islands. What does this mean for us? That means VOG is going to also pull up as well. So keep that in mind. As we go into the 7-day forecast, we see that trade wind weather Wednesday and Thursday, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. But as we get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, look at that. All those winds are southeasterly or south-southwesterly, so that means it's going to pull up the VOG for the rest of the state. So kind of keep that in mind. Enjoy these 2 days, and if VOG affects you, then you want to kind of keep the next 5 days in mind after that. Once again, Friday all the way through Tuesday in the forecast, it's showing that there may be VOG for all of us in the Hawaiian Islands. That is your first alert forecast. Get the latest on air, online, on your mobile device, and at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
Thank you, Billy. And it is the new year, so from fireworks displays to drone flubs, Jared Hill has a look at how people around the world rang in 2025.
A celebration for the ages as nearly 1 million people rang in 2025 under the glow of New York's famous Times Square.
I'm just like really happy. The vibe here is unbelievable.
While umbrellas weren't allowed, rain didn't dampen the spirits of revelers, squeezed into the crossroads of the world. The tradition of ringing in the new year in Times Square goes back to the early 1900s. Around the world, fireworks rained down to help ring in the new year. Paris bid adieu to 2024 with a light show at the Arc de Triomphe. Back stateside, crowds gathered for a parade in Philadelphia and around a 3-foot-long illuminated pickle in Mount Olive, North Carolina. But the first drone light show in Folly Beach, South Carolina ended abruptly when drones forming a dolphin slowly drifted back to land.
It looked like a gust of wind hit it and just kind of it dispersed.
President-elect Donald Trump rang in the new year with a party at his home at Mar-a-Lago.
There's a whole light over the whole world, not just our country. There are a lot of very happy people.
And this group of friends in San Francisco took time to cherish the present.
We kind of cling to the things we love most, which is each other and our city.
As many look forward to embracing a new year. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Many of us make resolutions heading into the new year to better ourselves, but we also find those resolutions are often abandoned after a few short weeks. Jeff Wagner has more on how to tackle the resolution of how to better your mental health.
Dave Johnson is on his way to ease his mind. Inside his home is a calming space to meditate. Johnson has anxiety, a disorder that intensified during the COVID-19 pandemic. He works in public health.
Being completely overwhelmed by work and family and just feeling like there wasn't any way out.
Molly Peterson is the director of adult programs for Minnesota's National Alliance on Mental Illness.
I don't think that enough people are saying, I really want to improve my mental well-being in the new year. They want to do better in their job, they want to do better on their weight.
But specifically focusing on mental health can be easy and attainable.
As you mentioned meditation, and that's a great one because it's literally forcing you to just kind of sit in the present moment and not have racing thoughts and negative self-talk.
Here's some tips to get started in the new year. Use an app, as they can guide beginners on how to meditate. Create a space in your home to designate as the meditation area. Set an attainable goal for how often you'll do it. Lastly, find an accountability partner, either someone to meditate with you or gently remind you to stay on track.
It gives me the option of choosing, do I want to continue following anxiety thoughts, or do I want to do something else?
Ultimately, his recipe to better manage it included medication, changing therapists, and making meditation a more integral part of his life. Jeff Wagner, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Coming up, a look at the new laws coming with the new year. Everyone. A new year means thousands of new laws on the books in the 50 states. This year, millions of minimum wage workers are getting a raise, and several states took aim at gun laws. Bradley Blackburn breaks it down.
This new year, there will be more cash in the pockets of minimum wage workers. 21 states are increasing the minimum wage beginning January 1st. Washington State leads the nation at $16.66 an hour.
Lives have changed. A lot of stuff has changed. Cost of everything is going up.
In Florida, children under 14 are banned from having social media accounts, and 14 and 15-year-olds can only use social platforms if their parents approve. The law is not being enforced right now because of a pending lawsuit.
It's not just about the law in effect. It's also about kind of an education campaign saying to parents that there are some issues with minors and social media.
California is cracking down on retail theft with more than a half dozen new laws. One increases jail time for large-scale smash and grabs.
I think if there is a punishment for the stuff they've been doing, everybody, they're going to stop doing it, you know.
California is also one of several states enacting more gun safety legislation, while New Hampshire is bolstering gun rights with NRA-backed privacy protections that prohibit the use of specific merchant category codes that could link a gun purchase to a credit card. And a first-in-the-nation law here in New York, the state is offering 20 hours of paid leave a year for prenatal care, for things like ultrasounds or even fertility treatments. Chickens in Colorado are feeling the wind in their feathers. Producers with more than 3,000 hens are required to provide a cage-free environment for the birds, and all eggs sold in the state must come from a cage-free facility.
It aims to curb predatory pricing.
And you may remember the Ticketmaster meltdown over Taylor Swift concerts. Well, a new law in Minnesota requires all-in pricing, which lets buyers know every fee up front. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And before we leave you this afternoon, we want to recap our top story of the deadly explosion in Aliamanu. So this is what we know so far. The large blast happened just after midnight on Keaka Drive. Officials confirmed the blast was fireworks related. 3 people have been confirmed dead, and sources say that number could rise. More than 20 people have been hospitalized in critical and serious condition, and were also told HPD's Specialized Services Division bomb unit recovered homemade illegal fireworks from the scene. Again, our crews are on the scene gathering as much information about what happened and about the victims that we know about. Of course, we're going to have more information on air and online, and we will be having a press conference today with the mayor, governor, EMS, and HPD. That's at 2 p.m. We're going to stream that live on our digital platforms, and you can watch that at hawaiinewsnow.com and stick with us for the latest on all the updates we want to bring you. Mahalo for watching This Is Now. Head more to hawaiinewsnow.com for any updates throughout your day. Aloha and Happy New Year.